The next Commencement Matter is Senator O'Donnell, and it relates to applications for Irish citizenship. And again, it's the Minister for Justice taking it. Senator.
Gurmaigad a Carly agus Gurmaigad leis an Irish of Aylin agus an Case Shaw Glock Gurmaigin. Minister, I suppose for me the Commencement Matter is very straightforward in terms of what it asks. The main issues that people who have been in touch with me, and indeed a whole range of MLA and MP colleagues, offices who have been contacted about this issue, is first of all the cost that's involved in applying via naturalisation, and also the complexity of the process. So look, while appreciating and fully understand that citizenship is a very precious thing, and we need to guard it and ensure that we aren't lacklustre in terms of our approach to it, fully cautious of that. I do think it is important to say that we need to also understand that citizenship shouldn't be the preserve of people who have the financial means or indeed the skills to complete what is often referred to me as a very bureaucratic and very complex process. We can't price people out of citizenship, particularly, as Senator O'Loughlin said in her previous Commencement Matter, those who are working so hard. Citizenship and what it brings to our lives is about much more than just its monetary value. It's what people do day and daily in their communities, in their families, and in all of our lives. So one of the big problems for applicants too, and you can appreciate, Minister, that while this is an issue across the entirety of Ireland, the vast bulk of the cases that are referred to me are from applicants from the 6 counties. A number of the issues, are the need for a PPS number, which obviously people don't have in the north, a tax cert in this jurisdiction that obviously people in the north don't have. So again, that adds a further layer of complexity, difficulty, and I suppose another way to put people off in some instances applying for Irish citizenship, and we shouldn't be seeking to do that. So Minister, I suppose the thrust of this Commencement Matter this morning is to ask you if you would consider looking at the current scale of the costs. One applicant said to me that even the virtual ceremony that you referred to cost over £900 for someone simply to take part in that conference, sitting at home virtually, over £900. Like, that's a significant sum of money if you're somebody who's working in a low-paid job, not least in the context of COVID, but at any time, Minister. And also, if, Minister, you would look at the possibility of reviewing the current application process and taking note of the difficulties that people are citing. And within that, Minister, if you would perhaps look at a bespoke arrangement that would pertain to applicants coming from the 6 counties, where other similar important forms, because again, I'm not being sort of green. We need to be protective, and we need to do this right. But I'm sure there are other forms that would be of equal importance that people could have access to if they are resident in the north much easier and much quicker than, for example, a PPS number or a tax cert from this state. And then finally, Minister, because you had referenced in the earlier Commencement Matter the ceremony and moving to that new process, which I think is welcome in the current restrictions of COVID, but if there is also the possibility of looking to reduce the cost there as well, in order to try and assist lifting the burden on people who are facing an already very difficult time out there. So thank you, Minister, for coming in, and thanks, Chair Gurmaigad.
Thank you, Senator O'Donnell. Minister.
Thank you, and thank you to Senator O'Donnell for raising this issue. Maybe if I could just start with the issue of the payment and the fees that you've outlined. These are governed by the provisions of the Irish Nationality and Citizenship Regulations of 2011. The fees are paid in 2 parts. So the current application fee is €175. This is payable when an application for naturalisation is lodged, and a certification fee, which is payable when a certificate of naturalisation is issued, so only when it is issued, not prior or if there is no issuing of the certificate. The standard fee is set at €950, but there is a reduced fee of €200 in the case of an application where this is made on behalf of a minor, in certain cases where you have the application is made by a widow, a widower, surviving civil partner of an Irish citizen, or indeed recognising refugees and stateless persons, there is a no certification fee. So there are instances where it's a much significantly reduced fee. The standard fees that are payable, they are designed really to reflect the effort that goes into this entire process, the costs involved in processing the applications for the certificate of naturalisation, which obviously gives benefit to everybody who's involved here. It's quite a detailed process, so this is not about making money, this is not about the department or anybody else. This is about making sure that I suppose the huge amount of work that has to be done to process this, that it can be covered. There's no provision for the discretionary waiver or reduction of fees or for different fees to be applied, except for obviously the situations that I've just outlined and where there are exceptional circumstances. I mentioned earlier that all of these fees are payable, but it's under the Irish National and Citizenship Act of '56, which was amended, and it's constantly reviewed by my department. So again, if we feel that this is something that can be done where fees can be reduced, acknowledging the significant work that has to go into processing these, then we certainly will, and I certainly will. But it is constantly monitored, and at the moment, you know, as I've said, there is no profit here. This is simply to make sure that this process can continue. You mentioned obviously that the new process that has come into play. I do believe it's quite significant because it means that we're going to be able to address this huge backlog, and that really is the huge problem for people at the moment. I think that there is a backlog for some people of many years. To date, 3,615 communications have issued. 1,600 declarations have been returned, 500 more will be issued at the end of this month. And to date, and I've received many messages and texts and emails from people who have received their certificate of naturalisation, 887 have already issued, and more will come in the coming weeks. On top of that, we aim to communicate with an additional 2,500 applicants in the system by the end of June. So we're talking about 6,000 people by the end of June having been communicated with, being able to return their declaration, and then hopefully receiving their letter of naturalisation within a few short weeks after that. So we're moving through the backlog that currently exists. Obviously, I'd like to get back to a system where we have the person-to-person citizenship ceremonies. I think it's a wonderful way to welcome our new citizens, to acknowledge the significant role that they play in our communities, and obviously to celebrate with them. But until we're in such a position where we can do that, we will continue with this new process in place. The system itself, Senator, you mentioned whether we can change it or not. It's something that is consistently kept under review, so I take your points on board, but obviously the process has been put in place and the requirements are there for a reason, and it's important that obviously anybody who becomes an Irish citizen that they can adhere to and that they can apply that process to their own situation. But we do need to keep everything constantly under review, and I will acknowledge and take on board the points that you have made, particularly for those coming from the 6 counties. Overall, I think I think if you look at the fee, it's there to cover the work that's been done. If you look at what's happening at the moment, we're working through the backlog. We want to try and make sure that people who are in the system a long time, that they receive their citizenship as soon as possible, and obviously that those who are coming down the line, that process isn't delayed in any way, shape or form because of the current backlog that exists. And I'm confident that we'll be able to address all of those targets and reach all of those timelines that we've set, particularly for this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Senator O'Donnell, you have 1 minute.
Thank you, Minister, for your comprehensive answer. And there's quite a lot to get through there. And certainly from my perspective, I would be very keen to work with you and your department in terms of offering positive suggestions around how we perhaps could review this and look at a more bespoke arrangement for people. You'll know from your previous life in another department that given the consequences of Brexit, there is a heightened interest from people who are living in the north where they are entitled to avail of Irish citizenship, and I think it's important that we accept and acknowledge that and work to try and make that process as streamlined and as good and as effective as it can be. I'm encouraged to hear the statistics around the backlog and the intention to clear the backlog, and I know that's something that's been to the fore being raised with me on this issue, so that's something we'll keep a watching brief on, Minister, and I'm sure those who are waiting still will keep a watching brief on that. I wonder too, Minister, very quickly, Chair, just in concluding, if there is a possibility under any review or looking at this, particularly for those low-paid workers out there who do want to avail of citizenship, that there may even be, appreciating what you've said around the costs and why it's warranted, that there may even be an opportunity for instalments or payments of this over a period to lift the burden on applicants going forward, so it's not just one big sum of money.
Thank you, Senator O'Donnell. Minister.
Thank you. Well, I'll certainly take that suggestion or recommendation on board. You know, it is about making sure that we have a streamlined process, and to refer to my previous commencement matter, where we are investing in ICT to make sure that our systems are moving from what is unfortunately mainly a paper-based system within the Department of Justice and within these structures to an online system that is much easier for people to apply, that's much easier for people to navigate, and that will help speed up all of these processing times. So there's huge investment happening in ICT within the Department of Justice that will benefit anybody who is applying. And I mean, it's not straightforward to apply for citizenship in any country, and it's a very special thing to be conferred on somebody, and so we need to make sure that obviously the system that's there, that it's robust, and that anybody who applies for citizenship, that they can adhere to the guidelines and the rules and the regulations that exist. But certainly when it comes to the funding and how it is paid or administered, it's something that's kept under constant review. So I'll take the Senator's suggestions on board as well. Thank you.